You're doing everything right. You have a job, you have goals, you're making progress. But there's this feeling that never goes away. It whispers when you wake up. It screams when you scroll. It tells you that everyone else is ahead and you're falling behind. And the worst part? You can't even explain why you feel this way. Because objectively, you're not failing. But emotionally, you feel like you're losing a race you can't even see. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why you always feel behind, what's creating this constant anxiety, and how to finally break free from the comparison trap that's stealing your peace. Let's fix this. Here's what's really happening to you. You wake up, and before you even get out of bed, you check your phone. And within 30 seconds, you've seen someone's promotion on LinkedIn, someone's vacation on Instagram, someone's achievement on Twitter, and something happens in your brain. A little voice says, "They're ahead," and you're not. It doesn't matter that you had a good day yesterday. It doesn't matter that you're making progress on your own path. In that moment, your entire sense of self-worth collapses into comparison. And this happens dozens of times a day. Every scroll, every post, every time you see someone else winning, you feel like you're losing. But here's the brutal truth: you're not actually behind. You're just watching everyone else's highlight reel while living in your own behind-the-scenes footage. Your co-worker got promoted, but you didn't see the 5 years of grinding they did to get there. Your friend bought a house, but you didn't see the sacrifices they made or the help they received. That influencer built a business, but you didn't see the 100 failures that came before the one success they posted. You're comparing your chapter 3 to everyone else's chapter 20, and then wondering why you feel inadequate. But it's worse than that. Because even when you know this logically, it doesn't help. The feeling doesn't go away. You still wake up anxious. You still feel like you're running out of time. You still believe everyone else has it figured out, and you're faking your way through life. And that's because this isn't actually about them. It's about you. The feeling of being behind is not coming from external reality. It's coming from an internal measuring system that's completely broken. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed a timeline, maybe from society, maybe from your parents, maybe from social media. A timeline that says, by this age, you should have this. By this stage, you should be here. And now you're constantly measuring yourself against invisible benchmarks that don't actually exist. Benchmarks that were never designed for your life, your circumstances, your path. You think you should have a house by 30. Says who? You think you should be further in your career by now. Based on what? You think you should have it all figured out. Why? These expectations are not universal truths. They're just stories. Stories you inherited without questioning. And now those stories are running your life. Every time you don't meet one of these invisible benchmarks, you feel like a failure, even when you're actually succeeding by any objective measure. You got a good job, but it's not the dream job yet, so you feel behind. You're saving money, but not as much as you think you should be, so you feel behind. You're building something, but it's not growing fast enough, so you feel behind. You've turned your entire life into a performance review where you're always falling short. And here's what that constant feeling of being behind is actually doing to you. It's stealing your present. You can't enjoy where you are because you're too busy obsessing about where you're not. You can't celebrate your wins because they never feel big enough compared to everyone else's. It's paralyzing your future. You're so afraid of falling further behind that you freeze. You don't take risks. You don't try new things. You play it safe because at least then you're not losing more ground. And it's destroying your self-worth. Because when you always feel behind, you start to believe something is fundamentally wrong with you. That you're not capable enough, not smart enough, not enough. But none of that is true. The problem is not your progress. The problem is your perception. You're looking at your life through a broken lens, and then wondering why everything looks distorted. So how do you fix this? How do you stop feeling behind when your brain has been trained to constantly compare and measure and judge? First, you need to understand that progress is not linear. Your brain wants a straight line from where you are to where you want to be. But that's not how life works. Real progress looks like a mess. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sideways moves that turn out to be essential. Failures that teach you what you needed to know. Delays that position you for better opportunities. You're not behind. You're just not on the neat, predictable path your brain thinks you should be on. Second, you need to stop consuming other people's highlights as if they're documentary footage. When you see someone's success, you're seeing a curated moment. You're not seeing the full story. That person who seems so far ahead, they feel behind too. They're comparing themselves to someone else. They're dealing with problems you don't see. They're questioning themselves just like you are. Everyone is faking it. Everyone is struggling. Everyone feels like they're not enough. You just only see the parts they choose to show you. Third, you need to define success for yourself instead of accepting someone else's definition. What do you actually want? Not what do you think you should want. Not what looks impressive to other people. What makes you feel alive and fulfilled and proud? Because if you're chasing someone else's version of success, you're going to feel behind forever. There will always be someone with more money, more status, more achievement. But if you define your own path, your own timeline, your own benchmarks, then the only person you need to keep up with is yourself. Fourth, you need to audit your inputs. What are you consuming every day? Who are you following? What content are you absorbing? Because if you're constantly flooding your brain with other people's achievements, your brain is going to constantly tell you you're not doing enough. You need to curate your environment. Follow people who inspire you without making you feel inadequate. Consume content that educates you instead of just making you jealous. Create space for your own thoughts instead of just absorbing everyone else's. Fifth, you need to practice gratitude for where you actually are, not fake gratitude. Real recognition of how far you've come. You are not in the same place you were a year ago. You've learned things, you've grown, you've overcome challenges, you've made progress even if it doesn't feel like enough. Stop dismissing your own journey because it doesn't match someone else's timeline. Sixth, you need to zoom out. Right now, you're measuring yourself day by day, post by post, comparison by comparison. And that makes everything feel urgent and desperate. But your life is not a sprint. It's not even a marathon. It's a long, winding journey with no finish line. The person you're comparing yourself to might be ahead in one area and behind in 5 others. You just only see the one area they're showing you. And here's what happens when you actually do this work. You start to notice the comparison thoughts when they come, and instead of believing them automatically, you question them. Am I actually behind, or am I just measuring myself against an arbitrary standard? You start to celebrate your own wins without immediately diminishing them. You got the job, you finished the project, you showed up even when it was hard. That matters, that counts. You start to feel less anxious, because you're not constantly scanning everyone else's life to figure out if you're okay. You're building your own definition of okay. And slowly, the feeling of being behind starts to fade. Not because you suddenly catch up to everyone else, but because you realize there's no race to begin with. Everyone is on their own path. Everyone is struggling with their own challenges. Everyone is just trying to figure it out. And the moment you stop treating your life like a competition you're losing, you can actually start living it. Here's what I need you to understand. You are not behind. You never were. You're exactly where you need to be to become who you're meant to be. The detours taught you something. The delays prepared you for something. The struggles built something in you that you're going to need later. You can't see that right now because you're too close to it. You're too busy comparing your middle to everyone else's end. But one day you're going to look back and see that every moment you thought you were falling behind was actually moving you forward. Just not in the way you expected. So stop measuring. Stop comparing. Stop judging yourself against invisible timelines that don't even make sense for your life. Start trusting your own pace. Start honoring your own journey. Start believing that where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. Not because everything is perfect, but because it's yours. The race you think you're losing doesn't exist. The only person you're racing is the version of yourself from yesterday. And if you're even one step ahead of that person, you're winning. Right now, I want you to do something. Think of one thing you've accomplished in the last year, something you learned, something you overcame, something you built. And instead of dismissing it because it's not as impressive as someone else's achievement, let yourself feel proud of it. Because that's your progress. That's your story. That's proof that you're not behind. You're just on your own path. And that path is taking you exactly where you need to go. Trust it. Trust yourself. And stop letting other people's timelines steal your peace. You're not behind. You're right on time. Retry.